Hi, I'm Mizwan. So I've been postponing this review for a while, but it's finally here. This is the Illegear Onyx V. So let's talk about it. First, I do want to mention that I have no background in tech journalism or whatsoever. These are just my opinions and my experience with the laptop itself. I just want to inform consumers out there, if you guys are planning to buy this laptop, you should give it a watch, and maybe if this video is compelling enough, this would change your decision. Right, so Illegear, they've actually rebranded most of their laptops, and this is, I think, one of their newer ones. They released this in April, and they announced it in April, but you'll get it in May most probably if you order this. If you haven't ordered it yet, I think they have ready stock at their store in TTDI. But right now, they have the AMD version, which is a much more compelling one. But the one I have here right now is the Intel version. I will only cover this one. If you are interested in this, consider picking up the AMD one. Right, so the design of this thing is pretty nice. I think Illegear stepped up their game for this. This is made out of aluminium. So aluminium is not as nice as magnesium. As you know, magnesium is the same material used for MacBooks, but this one is made out of aluminium. It's a lower tier grade of like metal, I think, I don't know. But it's nice nonetheless. It's nice to touch. You will not mistake this with plastic. Overall, it's made out of aluminium. So if you know Illegear's laptop lineup, a lot of their laptops have an aluminium lid, but inside is made out of plastic. That's not the case for this one. This one actually has aluminium on the insides too. So this, okay, depending if you're like me or not, which I have sweaty palms, right? So whenever I use this laptop for a long period of time, my palms will get sweaty, and this surface area, it will get sticky and it would suck. You're out and about, or you're at a coffee shop outdoor, and you're trying to do work, those sweaty palm things, I don't know, maybe if you went for like a matte plastic finish on the inside, it would be nicer. So yeah, the design of this thing is pretty nice. I do want to mention though, it boasts that it has a full aluminium finish, but it does not. Actually, the bottom part is made out of hard plastic. I think this is just mainly to save cost, because you gotta cut out these holes for the ventilation of the system. But anyways, it doesn't matter, you're not gonna touch it, you're not gonna see it, it's fine. Right, so now let's talk about the hinge. The hinge of the laptop, unfortunately, you can't open it with one finger. That sucks, but I don't think it matters because the hinge is pretty tight, so it doesn't wobble as much as you think. If I move this table, it wobbles a bit, but not too much. I don't mind. I think it's a good payoff. Right, the screen. It has 144Hz refresh rate, that's the most important part. A 1080p IPS LCD display. There's no options for you to go for 4K, but I think 1080p is good enough for 15.6 inch. The brightness, it goes pretty bright to the point where it hurts your eyes. I can actually show you right here. I know you can't see the difference right now, but it's really bright to the point where I'm like, oh. Minimum brightness, on the other hand, it's pretty good. Viewing angles of this thing as well is actually pretty good. In terms of color accuracy, mine is actually color calibrated because Illegear got it on offer and I got it for free. Comparing it to the MacBook, I actually prefer this more, and that sings a lot. Illegear also has this thing called InfiniVision display, which is basically a term about the thin bezels on the top and side. Personally, I love the look. It's modern, it's new, and it looks like you got a new laptop. So yeah, yay! Right, so if you are very picky about your products and this might bother you. So if you close the lid 70% of the way, I guess, it actually closes the screen. I don't know if this is a big thing. To me personally, I don't think it matters, because if you want to close it, just barely close it. The camera is actually located down below, underneath this Illegear writing here. Right, so this is the video quality and the microphone quality of this laptop. It says it's 720p, but as all laptops are, it looks like it's 360p on YouTube. I don't know, it's really bad, but I guess it's fine.
because you probably just need this for Zoom calls anyway, right? You're not going to do anything serious. Tapi tu lah, you can still see my nose. It's a nose cam. It is what it is.
Right, so now I'm going to compare the speakers test. I'm going to do the iPhone first, and then I'm going to change it to the laptop. Here goes.
I can recall when your lips used to contort in the smiles, bright as the sun, the strong in the clips. I haven't seen light in a while.
Now, the laptop.
Turning a miracle mile. I can recall when your lips used to contort in the smiles, bright as the sun, the strong in the clips. I haven't seen light in a while.
So, use that as you may, but I think the speakers on this is pretty loud. Now, the keyboard. I want to talk about the keyboard because it's a bit of a hit and miss. The keyboard has this spacing between the keys which is a bit unnatural at first if you're coming from other laptops. I don't know, maybe some people like it. Personally, I didn't like it at first, but after a week or two I got used to it. It also manages to cram in a numpad over here, which is pretty nice. If you like numpads, that's great. Me personally, I'm not a big fan. But because I've been using it for a month and a half now, I'm starting to like it. I feel like an accountant. No budget. Okay. Right. About the keyboard, I do want to mention that the previous Illegear laptop problems with the keyboard that Rodent mentioned, if you ever watch his videos, is present here. But mine is only exclusive to the spacebar. But if I press it in the center, it's fine. But whenever I press it on the left, look at the keys, yeah? It doesn't register at all. And you can literally hear that I'm clicking on it, but it doesn't register at all. I heard Illegear fix this. I might be wrong, but still, this is something you should know and you should check on when you buy this laptop. Send it back to Illegear, tell them to fix this bloody thing. Right, on the top right side of the keyboard, you can actually find the power button indicated with an LED. Beside it, you can actually find the fan control, which has 3 modes with 3 different LED lighting, I guess. Okay. Alright, this is a quick test for the fan noise. This is when it's idle or on office mode. Now I'm going to change it to gaming mode. Now I'm going to change it to turbo mode. Honestly, I can't find the difference between gaming and turbo mode. Maybe it's one of the same, I don't know. Sounds like a marketing gimmick to me. But you can change it with this button right here. There you go. About the fan noise. My girlfriend says it sounds like a washing machine. So it's pretty damn loud if you ask me. It actually bothers people around you. But if you have a headphone and you want to game, it won't bother you at all because I haven't found any problems whenever I'm wearing headphones. And then, yeah, there you go. And then there's 2 LED indicator lights, one for charging and the other one for caps lock. Unfortunately, the num lock does not have an LED indicator, so it is what it is. Next up, the trackpad. The trackpad is actually made out of plastic. It has Windows precision drivers as well as Windows gestures. It's pretty nice. If you ever used this before, you know what I'm talking about. On top of that, on the top left of the touchpad, you can actually disable it by double tapping it, and it can go on or off with an LED indicator as well. This is very useful if you're using a mouse. You'll actually get a lot of accidental taps here, but I managed to avoid that by turning it off. Pretty nice, good touch by Illegear or Tongfang because they're the bloody manufacturers. Moving on, let's talk about the ports. Right, so from the left, it has an Ethernet jack, a USB 2.0, a mic and headphone jack, and a Kensington lock. On the back, it has 2 mini display ports, 1 HDMI, a USB Type-C. Unfortunately, this USB Type-C does not support display out, it's only for peripherals, and the charging port. And on the right side, has a full SD card slot, which is nice if you're a content creator, and 2 USB 3.0s. So yeah, that's on the back. I guess for the port selection, it's pretty versatile. I think it's made for VR, really. But the only complaints I have about the port selection is I wish they had 4 USBs, because they only have two on the right side and one on the left side. Especially if you have a lot of friends coming over like I do in the past 1.5 months. I have 4 controllers, but I can't connect 4 controllers. In fact, I have to buy a dongle so I can have another USB port so I can play with 4 players. But there's only 3 USBs here. But that's the only complaints I have about the ports. I think regarding the ports, it's pretty well equipped. It has everything you need. You can do VR on the go immediately. You don't need any extra dongles or whatever. It's sufficient. Okay, the battery of this thing. It has 46 watt-hour battery. The 46 watt-hour battery doesn't last long. I think at best it lasted me 3 hours, and that was at everything set to minimum. When I say minimum, I mean like on the Windows battery saver thing, you just go for max battery life. That lasted me for about 3 hours. That's pretty bad. But then again, it has an RTX and an i7. I guess it's what you asked for. Upgrade this to the 67 watt hour if possible. Illegear says it adds 1 more hour, which also means it adds about 50% more battery life, because 3 hours is what I get with this. Anyways,
right, now let's move on into the internals. It's pretty easy to get into. There's 4 screws on the top, 4 screws on the bottom, and 1 on each side. You unscrew that, easily accessible. Right, the first thing I want to draw your attention to is the cooling system. Right, as you can see, there's actually 3 heat pipes shared among the CPU and GPU. But what's interesting is, the CPU gets an extra heat pipe right over here, and it has a slightly bigger fan than this does. That's interesting because I think this is the CPU. It can't be the GPU because the CPU is notorious for having high temperatures. At first I thought it was going to be a problem because this laptop has this CPU and GPU, which is, I think, it's an oven. But after I open it up at the back, I'm pretty convinced that they were going to do a very good job. It actually vents out to the side and back, so there's in total 4 ventilation systems on this laptop. It's pretty good, but it does actually bother you when you're using a mouse, because on the right side, because it vents out to the side, when you're using a mouse, it gets pretty hot and your hand gets sweaty. Right, I think that's it about the cooling system. I do want to mention also that the cooling system on the left here, the slightly bigger one, there's an LED light inside there. I think that's a nice touch. I don't know if that's nothing or what, but I first saw it when I was just like playing a game, and then I just picked up the laptop and then I suddenly saw a light underneath through the ventilation as well. Right, moving on, I do want to talk about upgradability. The upgradability of this laptop is amazing. You've got 2 NVMe slots right here. Mine is a 512 gig SSD right here, but you can further upgrade down line and interchange this one if you wish. You have 2 slots of RAM. Mine is currently fixed with 8 and 8, so total 16 gigs of dual channel. And this is an Intel Wi-Fi 6 card. I'm not sure if you can change this. Probably you don't have to, it's already a Wi-Fi 6, it's modern enough. Right, the thing that is glaring in your eyes right now is definitely the empty space right here. Actually, what this space is for you upgrading the thing. If you want more space on top of the 2 NVMe slots, you can actually add a 2.5-inch HDD here. But of course, you have to add in some more costs. The battery as well, you can actually increase the battery from 46 watt-hour all the way up to 67 watt-hour. And as I said, the battery, you gotta upgrade it. This only lasts for around 3 hours max. So if you upgrade it, you probably get an hour extra, and I think that is sufficient because 4 hours is still low, but it's a lot more than 3 hours.
The CPU and GPU is actually soldered on, so you can upgrade the CPU or GPU later down the line. Most laptops nowadays are like this, it's fine, but it also means choose the right CPU.
Next up is the performance of this thing. I played 3 games, Valorant, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and FIFA 20. I cranked up the settings to max for each of this. It's pretty good, you can get higher FPS and there's no problem gaming with this at all. Speaking of which, the performance of the thing is pretty good. You don't have to really worry about it, except for the temperatures. The temperatures go really high up. The CPU especially goes at max 94 degrees, which I think is alright considering the fan did a pretty good job. Most of Illegear's laptop actually have this problem where they throttle whenever we were playing games, but this doesn't seem to have the case. So it was a pretty enjoyable experience playing games with this. Now, if you want an actual benchmark, I ran PC Mark 10 using this thing and I got a score of 5,119. I think that's pretty decent. It's better than most gaming laptops. You can see it here. It's comparing it. It's not as good as a gaming PC, but it is what it is. And you can take this result and check online so you can compare it yourself. Finally, let's talk about the pricing. And this is, like it or not, is gonna make it or break it for you. This laptop costs around 5,500 ringgit, and this is for the Intel version. At first I would definitely recommend this laptop, but since Illegear actually announced the AMD version, it's very hard to recommend this laptop. This laptop on its own is actually pretty solid, I'm not gonna lie. I thought this laptop was gonna thermal throttle because of the Intel CPU and GPU combined, but it didn't. The cache is pretty good. It cools down the laptop very well and it's fine. Now imagine this cache with an AMD chip which is already low on temperature as is. Now imagine that, and on top of that having a lower price. Yes, it actually has a lower price. It goes like 300 ringgit cheaper for the AMD chip. And if you want to save some more money, you can save around 600 ringgit and you can actually have the same core count as this Intel one has, which is the Ryzen 5 model. If you want to know more about the AMD version of this laptop, this is a Tongfang cache. So if you go click on YouTube and search for this guy, his name is Bob of All Trades. He has this review for the electronics matrix. So this laptop is the exact same laptop that I'm talking about right now, but it actually has the AMD chip inside. Unfortunately, I didn't get to cover that one because I bought this one, and go check it out. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you want a recommendation, I would say buy this one with the AMD chip. Get the same GPU, just a different AMD chip. I'm gonna emphasize that again. Get the same GPU with the AMD chip. It's a great option. It saves a lot of money, and if you want to save some more money, go for the Ryzen 5 instead of the Ryzen 7. I do want to mention, if you have any further questions about this caches, do drop a comment. I'll try to reply as much as I can. Thanks for watching. This is Izwan. I'm out.